If you can hear me, please let me know you can hear me. If you can hear me, please let me know you can hear me. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. You're welcome to another session of the Parenting Teenagers and webinar. Every Sunday in the month of November, I've decided to do a free training, free webinar for parents who are raising adolescents. And why am I doing this? Every week, I see nothing less than 3 to 4 adolescents in my counseling room. And I'm wondering what's happening. Why is it that we're having more adolescents coming in for counseling instead of, normally we hear about adults, but now we have adolescents coming in for counseling. And one of the things I've realized, or one of the things I've noticed amongst these adolescents is the lack of purpose and the lack of sense of self. So today I'll be discussing how parents can guide their adolescents on the journey of self-discovery. For those who do not know me, if you're joining for the first time, my name is Oluwatoyin Ogunkomi. I'm a family psychologist. I work with parents of African descent. I work with parents who are from Africa, living in different parts of the world. And the major thing I do with them is to connect them to their adolescents, to their teenagers. So part of the things I do, apart from working as a family psychologist, I work as a parenting coach, and I'm also the founder of the parenting support system. I'm also the founder of Smart Parenting Community Outreach. This is a non-for-profit whereby where I work with parents who are living in at the outskirts, not in town. Parents who are living in IDP camps, I work with them. I provide them with tools and resources on raising well-balanced children. And for today, today we have another interesting topic. Today I'll be talking about how parents can guide their adolescents on the journey of self-discovery. Self-discovery is something that every parent needs to equip their children with. If your child is not equipped with this skill or with this tool or with this, is not equipped on this journey of discovering themselves, it will be so difficult for them to actualize or to do everything God has put in them. And one of the things I tell parents is that, see, every child God has given to you is special. Every child God has given to you is unique. And because of the uniqueness of your children, you have to be deliberate, you have to be intentional in ensuring that you are raising well-balanced individuals. So I'm going to share my slide. So one of the reasons I share my slide is because I know we have some individuals, we have some parents who are visual learners, and they learn better by what they see. So that's why I'll be sharing my slide. So if you can see my slide, please just indicate in the comment section if I can see my slide. If you can see my slide, please go to the comment section. Good evening, please, how do I get the recorded version? Oh, okay, I can see. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so if you're in our parenting group, I always post the recorded session in the parenting group. So if you're in the parenting group, you always get this in the parenting group. Thank you so much for that question. Thank you for indicating that you can see my slide. So we're talking about how you can empower your adolescent on the journey of self-discovery. Another way I coined it is guiding your adolescent on the journey of self-discovery. So this is me. This is my beautiful self. So like I said, I work with parents of African descent. I will help them in understanding and connecting with their children. I also work with adolescents in maintaining a great mental health. So like I said, I work with adolescents in terms of for those battling with depression, anxiety, or substance use disorder. And I said I'm the founder of Parenting Support System. I'm also the convener of the Smart Parenting Community Outreach. For those who've never met me, that's me, and this is me. So what are we learning? What are we going to learn? So part of things we're going to learn, we're going to learn we're going to understand what the developmental changes in adolescents are. We're going to understand what it means for them to go on this self-discovery journey and why it's important for adolescents to go on this self-discovery journey. Then I will also give different strategies parents can nurture their adolescents through identity formation, self-discovery, and also how to clarify values. At the end of this session, we're going to have questions and answers. So what really is self-discovery? Why is self-discovery important? In my last book, Preparing Your Adolescent for Independent Living here, I wrote that self-discovery is the process of children discovering themselves, becoming aware of their strengths and their weaknesses. Self-discovery and identity development is one important process of children trying to become responsible adults. Any child that is responsible, any individual that is responsible, that individual has gone through this process of discovering themselves, clarifying their values, and also forming their identity. One of the best gifts you can give to your child is to guide your child in discovering themselves. Like I said, I work in a mental health facility, and each time I start my counseling session with an adolescent, the first thing I try to do is to build rapport with them. And the next thing is I ask them questions about, oh, tell me about yourself. And not once, not twice, not two, not more than 4 adolescents have told me that they don't really know themselves. So apart from them telling me their name, their age, and maybe their school, I go further to ask, so tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And they end up telling me that, oh, I don't know much about myself. I just don't understand myself. I don't know myself. And this is something that really, really, it's heartbreaking when you have young adults who do not understand themselves, when you have young adults who do not know themselves. And this is one of the reasons most of them go in, these adults who do not know themselves, they go into substance use, they go into other forms of vices because they've not been able to discover themselves. And as parents, the best gift you can give to your child is to help your child to discover himself or herself. Another thing we need to know about helping our children in discovering themselves is that it gives them a sense of purpose. It helps them to develop a sense of purpose. A child that knows his strengths, a child that knows his ability, is a child that knows what is going on for him or her, would have a sense of purpose. We know, oh, I would like to achieve this. In the next 5 years, I want to achieve this. In the next 15 years, I want to achieve this. Or the child will say, oh, I want to become a doctor. I want to become a software engineer. Why? Because the child will know the reason for the why for his action. The child would know it because the child has discovered himself or herself. So self-discovery is something that we should take serious. This is something that as parents, we need to empower our children to discover themselves. So first thing we need to understand is that every teenager or every adolescent, now when we talk about adolescents, these are children between the ages of 9 or 10 all the way to 24. They are in a process of evolving. Their self-discovery is kind of evolving. One of the things we need to know about them is that they are in the process of discovering themselves. They are changing. A lot of changes happening towards them. They have changes in terms of their physical development, in terms of their cognitive development, their emotional development, and social development. And I also put in terms of spiritual development. This is a period where these children are changing. And because your children are changing, they are going to change, they're going to explore different identity, they're going to explore their values, their beliefs, their interests, their personal strengths. For parents who do not allow their children to do this, for parents who stifle this growth process in their children, at the end of the day, they end up disconnecting from the child because the child feels that my mom is not allowing me to do what I want to do. My daddy is not allowing me to become who I want to become. And because of that, there is always this emotional gap between the parent and the teenager or the adolescent. So it's very important we note as parents that self-discovery is part of the process of them becoming adults. So as parents, we need to be aware that identity development is fluid. That means one moment your child is taking up one persona, the next moment your child is picking up another persona. And that's why it's important as parents that we guide them. For children who don't have this guidance, they might pick up the persona of people around them, maybe things they watch or people they watch on TV or people that are in their lives that are not their parents. So it's very important as parents that we are physically and emotionally present in the life of our children so that we can guide them on this discovery journey. Another thing we need to know about this discovery journey is that it's unique for each child. So if your first child went through adolescent and there was no issue, and the second child is going through adolescent and there's kind of disagreement or kind of tension in the home, just know that each child is special, each child is unique, and identity development unfolds differently for each child. And as parents, it's important that we respect and we support their exploration of themselves, of their interests, and of their values. Even if these interests or values are different for us, let them explore themselves. But the guideline, the secret here is that we need to be around them to guide them. If you're not present to guide them, it will be difficult for them to make the right decision. They might make decisions that are very disastrous. So as parents, we need to be around them. We need to be available to guide them so that they can make responsible and stable decisions when it comes to them forming their identity. Now, another thing we need to know when it comes to self-discovery in adolescents is that most times our adolescent's identity is being shaped by things around them. I said this earlier that if you're not around them, their identity might be shaped based on things they watch on TV. But if you are there in the home as a parent, their identity will be shaped by things they see you doing. So their identity, their self-discovery is being influenced by the family, by the culture and societal expectations, by their experiences, by institutions like the school they go to, the media they watch or the media they get in contact with, and their friends. And that's why it's very important as parents, when you are picking schools for your children, you have to know who the owners of the school is. You have to know who the teachers are, what is the foundation of the school. There are some schools that are faith-based, yet what they do in the school does not show that they're faith-based. So it's very important as parents that any institution your child is coming in contact with, be it school, be it your church or your mosque, be it things they watch on TV, you have to ensure that these institutions have the right values or have the right will have the right influence on your child. And another thing you need to know is that when your children are developing themselves, when they're making choices that has to do with their identity, they would pick things based on what they want, based on what is around them. So for example, your child knows that, and this is another reason why I explain to parents that when your child is going to pick friends, your child will pick friends amongst the people that's around him. So who are you exposing your children to? So for example, let's go back to that school. Let's go back to the school. When we talk about school, what type of people come to the school that your children is? Most of the people in the school, are they individuals that are, so for those that are looking for faith-based schools, or they're looking for schools that, they're going to teach my children morals and values, the other children coming to that school, what type of parents do they have? And this is one of the reasons why I tell parents that when you're sending your child to the boarding system, you're sending your child to the boarding system to be raised by who? Is it the house masters or the seniors in the school or other children whose parents who have come to put in the boarding system for them to be raised by the boarding system? So when your children are going to pick friends, they will pick friends amongst the people around them. So who are you exposing them to? What type of friends are you exposing them to? Do you understand? So I have this friend that says, yeah, my friends are going to pick friends. My children are going to pick friends by themselves. However, I've done it in such a way that the people around them are people who have similar values to us. Because your children will pick friends amongst people around them. They won't go out, definitely. They won't go out to go and pick friends. It's people around them, either people in the school, in the church, or the neighbors. These are people that are going to pick as friends. So where do you stay? What type of environment are you living in? What type of, where you go to church, who are the people in the church? Or when you go to mosque, who are the people around you? I need us to know that's very important. Then for parents, it's also important that we should know that the teenage year is a period when your child is asking questions, who am I? And like I said, you see them changing their persona. 1 minute for the boys, you see them on afro. Maybe next term, you see them with low cut. The next time you see them wearing baggy clothes and all that. They're trying to identify with something. And because they're trying to identify with something or with something or someone, you see them, they keep changing their persona. So it's an evolving process. It's called self-discovery. They're discovering themselves. And this period as parents, please, we need to be more open towards them. This is not when we should be very strict or try to stifle this process. When we stifle this process, it becomes difficult for them to explore themselves, or it becomes difficult for them to even know themselves. And that's why you see adults that are not meant to be in club at the age of 40, 45 going to club, because that's when that's when their own money just sets. That's when they just decided that, so I can go to club. And so that's when they are just discovering themselves, right? So it's important as parents that we allow our children to go through this process of self-discovery, this evolution period of them getting to know themselves. Because if they don't get to know themselves early, it becomes a problem to them later. And I will explain that as I go by. So as we are here now, let's go to the chat room. How many of us have children who are between the ages of 10, 12, 13? Let's go to the chat room, please. 10, 12, 13. How many of us have children between the ages of 12, 10, 13? Sorry, 10, 12, 13. 10, 12, 13. Can you go to the chat room, please? 10, 12, 13. Chat room. Hello? Okay, so I said I have 16, 14. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
So
who else
can
is
we
there?
say, yeah, okay.
Okay, so while I wait for others, let me just continue. So in my book, in the book I was talking about, this book, I define self-discovery as a process of becoming aware of one's true potential, character, and motives. It's the process of our children or anyone determining their strengths, their weaknesses, their likes, their dislikes, their abilities, and having a conscious and better knowledge of self. So self-awareness is this period, or self-discovery is a period, or is the process whereby someone is becoming aware, conscious, and having a better knowledge of oneself. And as adolescents, this process helps them to gain a better understanding of who they are when they become aware of their true potential. So an adolescent that knows that, I'm good in maths, I'm good in sciences, I'm good in coding, when you ask that adolescent, what would you like to be, or what problem would you like to solve, what would you like to become when you grow older? They will tell you the kind of profession they want to go into because they are aware of themselves. Now, for adolescents who don't know anything about themselves, they ask, are you good in math? I'm not sure. Are you good in, they start, that kind of adolescent, it will be so difficult for that child to even have an idea of the path, or to even chart a path for himself when he becomes older. So another thing we need to know as parents is that we are to equip our children with tools to discover themselves so that they don't just settle for whatever life throws at them. I remember there was a discussion I had with a parent recently where I was telling the parent that, please, I'd like you to equip your child with tools. This child is an intelligent person, but because the child has missed it along the way, maybe due to wrong friends and lack of parental guidance, please, I'll need you to equip this child with tools. And the thing the parent told me was, I've taken him to church, he knows about God, he should be able to find. I'm like, no, it's not like that. Our spirituality, yes, there's nothing wrong in us introducing and nurturing our children's spirituality. However, if we don't equip our children with the tools that they need to face and tackle adversity in life, it will be that spirituality you're preaching to them will be of no essence to them. So as parents, we need to know that it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to equip our children with tools and resources to discover themselves so that they just don't settle for whatever life throws at them. One of the essence or one of the crux of self-discovery is that it gives our children a sense of purpose and gives them a sense of fulfillment. So instead of them chasing acceptance, they feel fulfilled in themselves because they know themselves. And another mistake parents make is when we don't allow our children to make decisions in the house, when we don't allow them to explore themselves in the house, by the time they go out there to try to explore themselves, they might end up making mistakes. So it's important for parents to understand that it's our duty as parents to equip them, to create a home environment where they can find themselves, to create a home environment where your children can learn, make mistakes, and become better. But if for every time your child makes a mistake, you hound them, you prosecute them, you criticize them, your child will just pretend around you. And the child will not even want to try anything out again because the child will be afraid of making mistakes. So one of the things I tell parents that, see, when it comes to your children discovering themselves, allow them to make mistakes. It's in the process of them making mistakes that they become better. So I've spoken about everybody being special and unique. And one of the things we need to know that we all have the potential to be great in us. We all have a drop of greatness. There's one advert they show on TV that everyone has a drop of greatness. We all have a drop of greatness in us. However, if we don't explore all the potentials, all the latent potentials in us, how would we know how great we are? So for example, I'm using a laptop now. We have phones. We have fans, we have ring lights. These things were produced by people. So imagine if these people were not allowed to explore themselves. How would we cope? How would life be without having a telephone or even toothpaste, or without the internet, without computer? You can imagine how life would have been. So as parents, it's important that we allow them to explore themselves, let them explore the innate potentials in them, all those things that God has put in there. And one of the things I tell parents, that every child God has created, that child is to solve a problem here on earth. Everything the child needs to be who God has created that child to be is already in the child. But our duty as parents is to bring these talents out help them polish, just like the diamond. You know, I had diamonds in, when you see diamonds, they're very rough, very, you know, they have to polish them, they have to mine them, they have to, you know, and it's the same with our children. They have so much in them, so much potentials in them. And as parents, it's our duty to help them to refine, to refine and polish this potentials in them, so that they become everything God has created them to be. And like I said, if we don't equip our children with the ability to discover themselves, they'll conform to anything and anyone that appeals to them. Because at that time, they won't have any value, no value. They don't, there's nothing that they're pursuing. So anything that comes to them, anything that tickles their fancy, they will go with it. And that's why we tell parents, let them find purpose, let them find themselves, so that they will not seek acceptance or seek approval. The moment your child can find herself or himself, your child would not be seeking approval from people, because the child will be, the child will feel capable enough without wanting other people's approval or other people's acceptance. Now, why do adolescents need to discover themselves? Why do they need? I've said part of this along the way, but I listed like 7. It supports their psychological development. Like I said, most of the adolescents I see, they're battling with either one form of mental health challenge or the other. And by the time you speak to them, you realize that some of them have done things that they're not even meant to do, because they don't know who they are. A child that knows where he's going to, a child that knows where she's going to. Oh, I see myself here in the next 10 years. I see myself there in the next 20 years. We don't want to go using drugs, because the child knows that this drug is going to destroy his life or her life. So, second reason we need to equip our adolescents with tools to discover themselves is that it encourages a sense of self. It gives meaning to life. Some of these individuals I see, and I ask them, so where do you see yourself? Say, I don't know. Life to them means nothing, But a child that is in the process of discovering himself, a child that is discovering himself and developing a sense of purpose, life means a lot to that child. The child is in the process of finding fulfillment. The child is in the process of becoming, his performance is being enhanced and all that. Another thing we need to know is that it helps our children to take responsibility for their own life. They know that you are the one in charge. Like one of the conversations I was having with someone, I said, where you're right now is based on the decisions and choices you made 5 years ago. Where you're going to be in the next 10 years, the next 20 years, it's going to be based on the decisions and choices you make now. So a child that's in the process of discovering himself or is on a journey of self-discovery would know that I'm the one. Anything I do right now, I have to take responsibility for it. I'm in charge of how my future would be. Even those in high school, they know that if I want to graduate with very good grades, I need to put in the effort. I need to study hard. Compared to a child that doesn't even understand that he or she needs to study hard, he's just going to school just to have fun and come back home. No sense of purpose, no sense of direction. But a child who is on the journey of self-discovery knows that if I want to achieve anything, I need to put more effort in it, and they will take more responsibility for what is happening to them. Also, it encourages independent thinking. A child that is on the journey of self-discovery will be thinking, will be reading books, will be looking for new ways to become better, and it also supports the person's discovery of life and career paths that will align with their passion and strength. So a child that knows that, oh, I love to talk, I love to do it. So there was someone I was speaking to recently, and I asked the person, what would you like to do? Initially, when I started this conversation with the person was like, I don't know myself, I don't know anything. So I asked the person, do you know what? Throughout next week, I need you to go and build a relationship with yourself. Go and fall in love with yourself. Go and date yourself for the next 1 week. So by the time I saw the person again, and the person, I was like, so what? So tell me about yourself. By this time, I could see the enthusiasm in the child, in the person, so much happiness and so much joy in the fact that the person has a sense of purpose now. And when I asked the person, okay, so tell me, what are the things you love to do? Person, I love talking to people. I love I love to talk to people. I love having very good conversations with people. And I'll say, great. So with this skill, this passion you've discovered in yourself, where do you see yourself? What do you think you can do? And the person say, oh, I see myself owning a talk show. I see myself either working on the radio station. And I felt so much, I felt so much happiness in me, because this was a person that the first time I saw, person was hopeless, no sense of nothing. But now this is someone I'm seeing that has a sense of, oh, there's something I'm looking forward to. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. This person is trying to align his passion and strength with a career path. And that's part of the joy of your child discovering himself or herself. Now, another reason we need to encourage our children to discover themselves is helps them in formation of identity. I've spoken about that earlier. For those who are joining, you can watch the replay. It helps your child in forming their identity, in knowing who they are. Identity in terms of their sexuality, identity in terms of their religion, identity in terms of who they see themselves as. And another reason we need to encourage our children to discover themselves is that it unleashes the unlimited potential in them. Like I said, we have so much. God has equipped us with so much skill, so much abilities. It's only for us to, the way we unwrap, when you're given a pastor a gift, and the person wraps the gift with so many wrapping paper. For each time you unwrap for each time you remove one wrap, you're seeing another beautiful wrap, another beautiful, and that is the way we are. For every time we're able to discover ourselves, like I said, self-discovery is an evolving journey. It's not a static journey. It's not like you've discovered yourself today and that is it. No, every day you keep finding out new things about yourself, new things about yourself. And that's the same way with our children. And that's why we need to encourage them to have a growth mindset, the ability to keep reading, keep learning, when your child has a growth mindset, your child would know that there is more to him than what we are seeing right now. A child that is 14 years old has discovered one thing about himself or herself. By the time the child is 18, the child would have discovered more things about himself or herself. And that's why it's important we encourage our children to discover themselves, to explore themselves, to explore their strengths and their weaknesses. So how can we do this? How can we do this as parents? How can we equip our children? I've written about 10 different points. The first is we need to build a sense of awareness in them. We need to build this sense of know more about yourself. Who are you? What do you love to do? What don't you like to do? And the best way we can do this for our children is to expose them to different activities. Let them engage. So while my young children were growing up, I have 3 children, 2 in university and 1 in high school. When they were growing up, one of the things I did for them was, myself and my husband, was that we exposed them to so many activities: basketball, football, cricket, swimming, music, piano, guitar. We exposed them to so many different activities. And when we did this, it helped them they tried different things and they were able to pick the ones they wanted. So in terms of music, my younger son loved piano when he was younger. My older son loved guitar. But by the time they entered high school, they picked another instrument. One was playing, what's this thing called now? Trumpet. One was playing trumpet, the other person was playing clarinet. My daughter, she doesn't like music, but she loves dancing. She writes music and all that. Expose them to different activities, different profession, different different things that they can develop themselves in. So if you have a child that you notice that, okay, so for my daughter, one of the things we did was if I was during COVID, she just came in one day and she wrote a song. And I said, this is nice. Can you sing it? She said yes. And she sang it. I have a friend that has a music studio. I took her to the music studio and she recorded our first album. Although we didn't release it, we didn't publish, we didn't launch it, but she released the music, and for her, that's like, wow. So I can write the music, I can produce, I can write music, I can sing it, and it will be produced, and those are the things your children. So if you've noticed a particular skill or a particular ability in your child, what are the professions that your child can do relating to that skill, relating to that ability? Expose them to this profession. And that's why I said when I started, I said for parents, you need to be available, emotionally and physically available for your children. Because if you're not there, how would you notice all these things? If you're not with them, if you don't expose them to all these things and you're around them, how would they know this thing? Another thing we can do as parents is we need to create an environment in the home. I've said this earlier. Create an environment in the home where your children can discover their strengths. Create a learning environment. Give them books to read. Give them puzzles to solve. Ask questions. Watch movies with them. Do a lot of things with them. When you do these things with your children, it helps, it gives them confidence, and it gives them self-confidence, and gives them even the confidence to explore different activities. Another thing you can do for your child when it comes to guiding them in discovering themselves is personality assessment. This was another thing I did for my children then when they were going into high school. There's a particular psychologist, is a consultant, his name is Mr. Peterson, and he does this assessment for children, personality assessment for them, and it helps them to know what kind of what course they need to study, where they can work, what profession fits their personality type and all that. So you can also do that, get them a personality assessment, let them do personality assessment. This will explain the reason. So for a child that is choleric, the child will understand that, oh, so this is why I do this. This is why I like to do this the way I do it. It gives meaning to their behavior when they have this personality assessment done for them. Another thing we need to do to guide them in self-discovery is value clarification. What are your values? Values are those character traits that guide the decision-making process, that guides their behavior. If as a family you do not have values, that is, your children do not have anything that guides that decision-making process, that means they can fall for anything, So it's very important that we teach them about values, because it's these values that will guide them in making decisions. So for example, if one of your values is, if your values are based on, what's this thing called now, your religion, and a child is trying to explore his sexuality, at the back of the child's mind, child would know that my sexuality is heterosexual, right? Not homosexual and all that. So it's very important that you build your children, equip them with values that would help them in making the right decisions. And one of the things I tell parents that when you are teaching your children about values is that you have to explain to them the reasons for those values. You cannot tell your child that in our home, we have to pray 5 times. That's for the Muslim. Why must your child pray 5 times? You have to be able to explain to your children the reasons behind your values. If you do not explain to them the reasons behind your values, when they're on the journey of self-discovery, they will drop those values and will pick their own values along the way. Then another thing we can do as parents to guide them in decision making, in self-discovery process, is let's support their interests. So your child has gone through the process of going to different, you've exposed your child to different interests, different activities, and your child now picks one interest. Support their interest. Even if that interest doesn't make sense to you, let the child, have discussion with the child. Let the child explain to you the reason for the interest, get to understand the interest. So one of the things I did for my children there was, especially when I was interested in football, I had to start learning about the different leagues. I had to start learning about different competition. I had to start learning about the different, what's this thing called? Players and all that. Because I wanted to be interested, I wanted to support his interest. So it's important as parents that we support their interests. Let's get to understand the reason behind what they're interested in. Then last week, we had this training last week on how to teach your children to make the right decisions. Let them make decisions in the home. When they make decisions in the home, you are able to guide them. So you're able to teach them the right way to make decisions. But if you're the one always making decisions, always taking decisions and making decisions for your children, and you end up sending this child outside home, maybe you're sending the child outside of the country to another country, the child is not allowed to make decisions in the home. Of course, when the child gets to school, we'll make decisions based on what his friends or her friends say, because you've not taught the child how to make decisions. So it's important, let them start making decisions in the home. Let them make choice. Let them have choices. Let them pick clothes by themselves. Let them pick the meal by themselves. You're going out with them. I encourage them to make decisions. It's very important. Then, like I said earlier, I said failure is not bad. When a child makes a mistake, let them learn from that mistake. It's in the process of them learning from that mistake that they become better. If you do not allow your child to make mistakes in the home, by the time the child will go and make mistakes outside, the mistakes might be very detrimental and very, what would I say, very bad. Then let them discover their dreams. So I spoke about that. What problems would they like to solve? What problems would they like to solve? Instead of asking your child, what do you want to become when you grow up? Ask them questions like, what problems would you like to solve? When you ask them questions, it makes them to think. It makes them to think critically. Oh, what problems do I want to solve? But when you tell the child, what do you want to become when you grow up? Of course, that there's some ready-made answer, a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant. Allow your child to think critically. What problems would you like to solve? And in the process where they're not sure of problems they would like to solve, it's okay, right? And one of the things you can do is that you can expose them to different issues facing humanity. This might spark an interest, this might spark an interest in a noble cause in them. Then finally, encourage continuous learning, personal and self-mastery. I have a course for teenagers. It's called Self-Mastery for Teenagers. I take this course every Easter. During Easter, I have this course for them where it's a virtual course where I teach different aspects of self-mastery. So as parents, we need to encourage continuous learning and personal and self-mastery. Let them master themselves. Let them master their emotion. Let them master the thought process. Let them master the ability to communicate with other people, effective communication and all that. So do we have questions before if we have questions, please we can unmute. Let's go. Do you have questions? Hi. Do you have questions? Okay, so I said I have 14 and 22. Wow. Wow. That's good. So do you have questions? Any question? I hope I was not too fast. I hope I was not too fast. Okay, I have a question. So I said I have a question. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much for this wonderful...
Okay, let me unmute. You can unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sorry, let me see. Okay, I've unmuted you.
Good evening. Thank you so much.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Maybe you should unmute me.
I can't hear you. I hope my speakers are not bad. Are you speaking?
We can hear her. We can hear her. We can hear both of you, in fact.
If you can hear me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can
say
hear
something?
you.
I can't hear you.
We can hear her.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, just hold on. We are hearing. Okay, do you know what I'll do? Let me put on my other system. So I can't hear. Just a minute, please. I'm so sorry. Let me just put on my second system.
To be very much aware of the adolescents age for today and in preparation for the adolescents of the gen. I don't know what their own gen will be called when they get to that
Alpha,
age.
generation Alpha or Beta. I think it's Alpha. She's generation Alpha.
Okay. So I was wondering, at what age can one conduct that self-assessment test? Because it looks like these children of today, they are even faster than children of 10 years ago. You can see, I can already see strong leadership traits. I can already see a lot of, traits that I don't even know when I even discovered it in my own self. So I was wondering, what age can one expose them to self-assessment to begin to have an idea of. But I know that at this age, there's still so much to discover about a child. But I want to just know what age that do the self-assessment. Is it when they get to teenage years or like age 10? Just your
for me, I would say when they become teenagers, because your child is still evolving. That's the most important thing you need to know. Your child is still evolving. There are some traits you might see in your child now, and due to nurture, you might not see that trait in the child again. We are products of nature and nurture. So right now, what you're seeing in your child now is nature, who she is, due to the traits God has put in her. However, nurture might change some of these traits along the line. So I think when your child is around, let's say 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. But by 10, some of those traits will start showing, you start seeing those traits definitely that, oh, this is who this child is. So, but for now, you can start nurturing these traits you've seen in her. Since you've already seen strong, positive leadership traits in her, excellent. Understand that this is the type of child or child is, they might want to crush that trait in her. So the people you expose her to, the environment you expose her to, the institutions you expose her to are very important. And as parents, when you see the strong traits in your children, please don't be afraid. Rather, nurture that leadership trait in them and teach them more of being assertive and teach them more of empathy, because people with this kind of leadership traits, they want to do things. This is how I want it done and this is how it's going to be done. But when you teach them empathy, they try to understand that, oh, I need to put other people's feelings and emotions into consideration. I hope I've answered your question, Ma.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Do you have any other question, please? Okay, so let's go to the chat room, everyone. If you were here from the beginning, just type 3 things you've learned from this session. 3 things you've learned from this session. Let's go to the chat room. 3 things we've all learned from this session. Let's go there. So like I said, one of the reasons I'm doing this, having this parenting teenagers webinar is the fact that I see a lot of young teenagers, young adults in the counseling room. And for me, I'm like, instead of me seeing young teenagers or young adults in the counseling room, let me be more intensive in teaching their parents the right things to do, so that their children do not end up going for counseling, mental health issue, and all that. That's the reason I'm having this free training for the whole month of November. Every Sunday by 7 p.m. I'm coming up with different topics, teaching different topics on how we can parent our teenagers, our young adults effectively. So if you have another question, you can drop your question in the chat room. We have 2 minutes left. Oh, okay. So I've done this. Okay, a home environment where they feel safe. Okay, is that I've mixed up some, let me see. Okay, I joined late. I learned that they should discover themselves, support them, allow them to make decisions in the home. Okay, thank you so much. Let me see, who else? Please, can you just go to the chat room, write at least 3 things you've learned before we close for today. Thank you, madam. Thank you, everyone. Let me stop recording.